nerds, geeks, and all variants in between. I'm Tony Diane, and this is Of Nerds and Geeks, pop culture from a certain point of view. Today, I'm sitting down for part 2 of our anime discussion with Vincent Perrone. Let's check it out. Okay, I'm here back with Vincent Perrone, voice actor, and lady killer. We're here to do a part 2 of our anime series, where we're going to go over the second part of our 10 favorite animes. And I hope you guys have been encouraged to put your anime down below. How you doing, Vinny?
I can't complain. Doing pretty good. I actually been looking forward to this. As I said the last video, this is actually probably my favorite topic we've had so far. The only thing that could be with this, if we have a topic maybe next season about video games, then we're gonna have another long video.
It is definitely on the list for video games eventually. I'm looking forward to
Nice.
it. I haven't even done my Dungeons and Dragons one yet. Oh, so much to do. So little time.
There you go.
Okay, so when we last left, recap, previously on, we were going over our top 10 list, and it was getting a little long in the tooth, and we decided to break up our list in half, as I already said. So if we want, we can continue the list, and I think we're at number 5 on our list. Is that right?
I think 6? So. Number 5. Well, I think we did 5 last time, and we decided it was too far, so it's probably number 6. We went from 1 and then down.
Right. All right. So why don't you go with your number 6, and let's discuss.
All right. So my number 6 now, again, guys, remember, this list is not literally from 1 to 10. For me, the number 1 was number 1, but this is going to vary. These are just top 10 that I enjoy or love, whatever. So I have to say my number 6 is probably going to be, it was hard. It was a toss-up between Bleach and One Piece. So I'm actually going to have to go with Bleach with this one. Now, I love One Piece, but Bleach is just, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting topic to have like Shinigami, which are Japanese, like Grim Reapers, but instead having like almost like a military police version of it. And literally each character, whether they're small time, whether they're big time or whatever, they each have their own weapon and their own special ability, which I thought was awesome. They called their Zanpakuto, which is their weapon, and then they also have an extra form called Bankai. That's when they're in their super form, I guess you would call it. I just think that's a neat topic.
Yeah, that is a neat idea, especially when they take like the idea of just a demon and then elevate it, right? And try something, try to merge that world with ours into some kind of structure.
Yeah, so it's weird to see that, like, they talk about Earth, and then they have the Soul Society, which is like which is always confusing to me. It's like the afterlife, but yet they're able to eat food and they're able to have families. It's very weird that, I never really got a concept of that. If they're technically Soul Society, where like they bring the dead to wherever they need to, whether it's heaven or hell, but they still act like it's a normal society, which is awesome. But like I said, it's cool that like each character has a sword per se, but then that sword is tailored to that person. And as you see in the later arc, which is the newest season that their anime is called 1,000-Year Blood War arc, there's this elite group of soldiers or Shinigami called Squad Zero, and each of them are such a pristine in society, I guess high in society compared to everyone else, because they each donated something to the complete Soul Society. There's one character where he actually is the blacksmith, so he's the one that makes every single Shinigami's Zanpakuto their weapon. He makes it custom for them, which is pretty awesome.
Right, so he's more like the Hephaestus of the group.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
So the series just sounds to me like that they're trying to tackle, like, we'll play with the demons, we can play with the powers, but let's drive it through a human narrative so everyone can understand the characters and relate to them.
Correct. So most of the main cast is humans.
Yeah. So like rather like in say like Death Note, where the Shinigami was almost like sinister and a trickster and evil, he was harder to relate to, right? Right. So this one makes the demons more like the character you can relate to, more like the hero type, so you can get away with that sort of thing and still play with demons.
Right.
Yeah, that definitely makes for good storytelling. But well, even in Dante's Inferno, when they went to hell, they had people like what they did the 7 deadly sins. People who were sloths, they were forced to eat over and over and over again in hell. So the concept of having food and stuff like that, even in a heaven and hell situation, not unheard of.
Yeah, I just think it's a cool anime. I mean, like I said, the main character. I also like anime where the main character is not always the strongest. He's kind of like the underdog and then works his way up. I always like that story than having
Gives him something to
quote
fight
unquote
for.
god tier character. Yeah, something to like you said, relatable. I mean, you find out later on he's mixed with different things, but like you have a lot of human characters, and even though they get their own powers in a way, they try to contribute as best they can, which is kind of like I said, makes humans at least more relevant than a lot of anime where humans usually are very relevant.
So yeah, so Battleship Yamato, like I said, it's like if you wanted any anime back in the '80s, you had to get whatever was on the VHF shelf, and that was at the video store. That was pretty much it. Today, you have access to like hundreds of anime on different platforms.
Yeah, right. Well, I always had to have a question since we're back in the day. Was there sub and dub?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I said, if you wanted to get the VHS tape, again, I don't think it was intentional. I think a lot of the early days of the companies who were trying to grab anime from the markets and bring them to the U.S. were like, "Oh, what do you got? This? I'll take that. It's in Japanese. I don't care. I'll take it."
Right.
And they'll throw it on the shelf, and then a couple months later, you get the dub version. But like I said, like now today, you have the choice of doing sub or dub. You even have fan dubs.
Back then, you just roll the dice.
Yeah, but even nowadays you have fan dubs too, I believe.
Yeah, like Ocean. I think it's Ocean Star or 4-Star. Like, yeah, they do their own OVAs and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is kind of neat because again, we didn't have that, so it's just kind of neat to see how it's blossomed and grown up since then.
Yep. Well, just like anything else we talk about, it just forms with society. More people, it's becoming more known, so it's more easier access, so more people can view it, and some people can say, "Oh, you know what? I like where they're going, but let me put my own take on it," and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. It's very fascinating. What you got next?
So the next one, I'm gonna have to go with One Piece. So I know there's a lot of hate with One Piece because it's such a long anime. Supposedly, it's the longest anime that's in existence.
Yeah, I think it's over like 1,100 episodes. I think.
Yeah, plus that,
right?
yeah, and it's still going. But I just thought it was a cool concept. I mean, who doesn't like stuff about like pirate ships and stuff like that? Like I said, the whole world is like encapsulated in water, and you got to do pirate ships and stuff like that. And it's pretty interesting. The Devil Fruits. Now, again, it's such a long running anime and manga series that they don't fully explain all the stuff. Like they never explain where the Devil Fruits come from or what gives them their powers. But it's interesting that there's different levels of them. There's like one that turns you into animals, one that turns you into like gives you like weird powers or elemental controls and stuff like that. So I just think it's an awesome concept. Like I said, I mean, who doesn't like pirates and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, but I think ever since I don't really fully understand the timeline in Japan of all their anime and what became popular when. You have an idea, but I don't live there, so I can't speak to like exactly when and what happened. But from my perspective, I've noticed ever since like the Pokemon craze, a lot of anime, aside from either taking place in an academy or making it about a group of specific people, they always, especially after I don't know, late '90s maybe, they always seem to have that sort of structure where it's like you have this either group of misfits or this group of fighters or whatever, and what their objective is to get more stronger, get more powerful, and they can acquire and acquire and acquire, and then as seasons go on, they become stronger and stronger. Dragon Ball Z and all these things, and just a lot of anime seem to follow that sort of format nowadays. It seems like.
Yeah, I guess it's a popular trend if you think about it. I mean, like a lot of stuff, I feel like anime. I mean, if you think about a lot of people who watch anime, I'm sure they at one point felt like misfits or they didn't fit in. So, I mean, if an anime can make it relatable where like they're outcast or misfits or they're weak in certain aspects, but really they're strong in other aspects, I think that, again, that makes them more relatable and why probably people like watching stuff like that. They are rooting for the underdog all the time.
Which absolutely makes sense. Do you know when One Piece started as a comic book?
Yeah, I believe it started in 1999, if I'm not mistaken.
That's when the manga started?
Yeah, or I think the anime came out in 99 and the manga must have started in 98 or 97. But all I know is that it's still going on now and it's 2023, so that's a long time.
Yeah, it took them 23 years to do a live action version.
Yeah, which actually, I don't care what anybody says. I think they did a very good job. I mean, they actually have Oda, the one who wrote it, working with them. So, I mean, I think this is probably one of the best anime adaptations that I've seen on live action before.
Yeah, I've not seen the live action version yet. I feel
Well,
backlog on TV.
I got my stepdad involved, and he's never seen One Piece at all, and he's like never watched anime that much. He's like was like I guess like a basic person that watched it, and he thought it was awesome. So I mean, if he thinks it's awesome and he doesn't watch anime or know anything about the story, then I think that says a lot about the show itself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, one thing I've said for years, and I probably said it in the other first part, so I apologize. But one thing I've always said is that I've always found that anime stories, even back in the day, they told such complex, rich stories that I've not seen anything. I'm only now beginning to start seeing in Western formats. You know what I mean? As far as like,
How so?
well, back in the '80s, our TV they didn't do mythology shows. Like in other words, they didn't have like the TVs was episodic back then. It would be something would happen, they would solve it, return to zero. Next episode, something would happen, they would solve it, return to zero. Nothing really connected over. There's no connective tissue in TV shows back then. Like very rarely, extremely rarely. One of the earliest I could think of was I don't remember the name of the show. It doesn't matter. But one of the first shows I remember starting to do it was right around the time X-Files and Star Trek: The Next Generation started, and that was like 87, 93. That's
Right.
when that started. But prior to that, TV was purely episodic. In other words, things rarely ever linked up to be like a season-long story arc. But this is what Japan has been doing ever since, even before that, back in the 70s and the 80s. But now we finally come around to our TV show is more soap opera driven, more, season one problems all the way to season two. Oh, it was spilled over to season 2 and 3. And the characters have long form stories in our TV shows. That was never the case back then. Rarely.
Yeah, I guess that's
also
also where it came with
like loved about anime.
It came with like specials too. I'm guessing like shows would be like a 2-part episode, like that would carry into the next episode, and that would be it.
Yeah, or sometimes the only 2-part you got was when the season ended and when it began. Then it's just back to business as usual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It was really like that. It was very procedural, very episodic. So that's why I love the anime cartoons, because it was like this. Wait, the next episode has nothing to do with the last episode? It's like a comic book. Let's keep going,
Yeah.
The comic books.
It makes you want to pay attention to read them. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, it's like soap operas and comic books. The anime, they knew long before we did. But so my next one is I don't know if you've seen it, but this is more like a slice of life romance and science fiction. It's called Chobits.
No, I never heard of that one.
So basically, it's a typical sort of romance story where you have this sort of lone boy who's kind of a loser, kind of like a Hiroshi again. Doesn't have much of a background, but then he stumbles upon one of these Chobits in a dark alleyway. And Chobits are basically like, this was made back in the mid 90s. So think of it like a PDA, personal digital assistant, but it's a robot.
Right.
And that's what a Chobit is.
Is it a humanoid robot or like a legit clanky robot?
No, these are actually dressed up like what do they call them? Oh God, I forgot the term. They're like the Chinese girls who wear like the gothic dresses and the ears and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, like the cat ears and stuff.
Yeah, like because the cat ears were actually radio receivers on these things.
Oh, cool. So that's cool.
So he finds a broken Chobit. He learns how to turn it on, and he ends up interacting with it, and he's kind of embarrassed about it because it is female. But the thing is that they end up falling in love throughout this whole thing. Even if she's a robot,
technically, yeah,
right. And I loved it because
that's anime for you.
You're dealing with guys, or the human being falling in love with a robot. You have no shame about this. That is awesome. You're tackling that issue.
Yeah,
I like that. But it was even the ending for me was very sad and romantic because when the owner showed up, he just immediately turned her back into like a blank robot, and he was just all like trying to fight to get her back. And you found out she's a prototype, and all this other stuff, and it was really sad. But he ended up getting her anyways. But I like I mentioned before with Oh My Gosh and stuff. I like the slice of life, some of the slice of life romance ones too, because I'm into romance. So
yeah, of course. Who doesn't like a little romance here and there?
But it's got some cool sci-fi stuff, especially when it comes out to like the robot designs and the futuristic city designs, and especially social commentary on like what we do with our garbage and you know things like that, and how we treat each other because of societal classes.
Right.
Kind of like Battle Angel was very much like that. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, kind of like that, where there's some social issues stuck in there, but primarily slice of life romance. But if you ever get a shot, if you ever get into romance, if not, that's cool. What you got
Hey,
next?
can't say wouldn't hurt to try, right? That's what they say.
That's true.
My next one would probably have to be, and this one's a little newer, so younger kids watching this are probably like, "Oh, I know what he's talking about," but it have to be Jujutsu Kaisen. So the reason why I like Jujutsu Kaisen is almost like the same reason why I like Kengan Ashura. It's because it's about martial arts. Like each character has in this universe they use what's called a curse technique. So it's almost like in this universe having powers is a blessing and a curse, I guess we would say. So like one person, he has a thing called curse speech where he says something and you end up doing it. He's like, stop or blow up, and you actually do it. But the problem is that he's not able to talk, so he talks in rice bowl recipes or something like that. Like he has to talk about like ingredients. That's the only way he can communicate with people.
Oh, that's cool. I like that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then there's higher level mages, I guess you would call them. They're called jujutsu users. They have what's called domain expansion. And this is a part where this is, I guess, when you reach a higher level of magic, is when you can literally open up your own pocket dimension, and then there you become really powerful per se there. So it's a really cool concept, and it not only does it have magic, but it literally has like a lot of hand-to-hand fighting. Like the main character, he has a hand. It's just an awesome anime. Like a couple years ago, I was like, oh, new age anime. Like I felt like those old guys. I was like, oh no, I'm never gonna watch this new age anime. They don't know what they're doing, or kids don't know back in the day. And all of a sudden, I started watching. I'm like, this is actually really effing good. I said, I'm gonna have to watch this. And here I go from watching one episode, and I watched the whole season. And next season, I'm like, when's more coming out? So they got me.
Give me more. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I can tell you really you're very interested in the martial arts power upgrade type of anime then.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I know a lot of people are like, what about?
No, it's fine. I'm not saying specifically. I'm just noticing that I've got my trends too. Just making an observation of like the stuff you like.
I feel like it's kind of based on your own personality. You think about it, like I said, I'm really big. Like since I was a little kid, I'm really big into martial arts and fighting and boxing, all kinds of stuff. So being a little kid, I'm into like sci-fi fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons and video games. But then I'm into the sports aspect of like martial arts. I love like watching the training and them, struggling in the beginning, because I always felt like, when I was younger, not to go off on a rant though, but I was bullied when I was a little kid. So I was picked on a lot, and watching these people, a lot of time they get bullied or beat up, and then they just train and get stronger. That's always encouraging to me. So I always find myself gravitating towards stuff like that. So I guess that's really why it is.
Makes sense. If only we had a montage scene in real life, right?
I know, right? Or like just start training like that one old sage that's like, you're tired of getting your ass whooped. I'll be like, yeah, I am. And then all of a sudden you're stupid fighting aliens and stuff, but that's not realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one day, we don't know the future. One day it might be realistic.
That's very true. You'll never know.
Right.
My next pick is it's actually a little more modernish. It's Attack on Titan.
Oh, okay. That's definitely a classic. Well, I can't even say classic. That's definitely a popular anime that people like right now. That's all people talk about.
Yeah.
What makes you like it?
The horror aspects of it. Actually, it's the idea of these giant 90-foot people coming in to want to eat you. It's just
right,
absolutely terrifying, and the way they draw them with their blank sort of like dumb expressions, just kind of more terrifying than anything, to be honest with you. And I feel like as the seasons go on, I like some of the
It's okay.
I like some of the
Getting
strategies they
choked
actually
up there.
work
That's how
on.
much you like this.
Yeah, but I like some of the strategies that come on to defeat the giants, and even some of the battles they have inside of them. They do some. I thought they did some really clever things. Because with the cartoon, you can do whatever you like, but if you do something that actually looks feasible and try to work in the cartoon, it makes it more credible, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So again, like it
I mean, also the theme
tickles my
too. It's
horror button.
it's very. I always said that the anime is very depressing when you watch it. I mean, there's a few things you can be like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." Most times you're like, "Oh my god, wait, what just happened?" It's like, "All right, that's got to be over." I'm like, "They did how many? They killed how many people?" It's just like
Exactly.
it's just always depressing. Even the main character, Aaron, he always looks depressed. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have to kill all these kids. I'm like, you don't have to kill them. You don't have to do that. He's like, I have to. I'm like, all right, bro, you have to. You have to. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I saw the live action film they did of it. It was all right. It wasn't quite like the anime, but
See, I never
live
got to
action
watch it.
adaptations rarely ever live up.
You have to try One Piece. I know if you never seen it before, it definitely worth giving it a shot. They did
It's on
really
my
well with the
list. I promise.
casting and.
It's on my list. I promise. I just have to. I get to it. I got Star Trek. I got Star Wars. I got Marvel. I've got Doctor Who coming
Yeah,
up. Making our own movies. I have to swamp. When we get there eventually. But,
you got to make it. You got to make a new show where you just watch different movies and shows and talk about it. There you go.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Actually,
Like what were those Eber and Robert, the guys that used to do like they would watch the movies and then give reviews. They were like, yeah, there you go.
Siskel and Ebert, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, right.
All right. So what you got in your number one slot?
No, we went down to 10.
I mean, number 10 spot. Sorry, bad. My bad. It's been a whole episode.
No, you're good. No, it's okay. Everyone's like, what's going on? So number 10 also was hard. I actually changed it from the list I sent you. So my number 10 actually is going to be Yu Yu Hakusho. And the reason why I thought about it as being in my top 10 was because that was one of the first serious, more mature anime I watched when I was growing up. Same thing. I like you said, I have the theme. It's a martial arts tournament, but it was about a soul detective, that he made a group of friends and literally is in a martial arts tournament and just leveling up and just fighting to save the world, which I always thought was cool. Same thing. He was an underdog. He trained and he got better. Then you find out he's not just a human, he's actually part demon, and he gets stronger and all his other characters get stronger with him. And I mean, one of my favorite parts is called the Dark Tournament. It's like middle of the series where they literally fight different teams of demons to be number one. I mean, it's just like I said, it's just an awesome concept. Each character has their own unique abilities. One guy uses a sword and this black fire dragon. My favorite character is Karama. He's this very effeminate red hair guy that uses a rose whip. But then when he transforms into his original state, he's called the bandit demon, and he has like a giant, almost like a scimitar, kind of like those Arabic swords, and he has like a long white mane, and he has like fox ears and stuff like that. So I mean, my favorite animals are fox. I'm like, this guy
scimitar?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's perfect for me." So they have that, and then they have the useless human character that gets beat up all the time. So, but he's the comic relief character,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, you ever seen Hidden Fortress?
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, Kira Kurosawa with the two bumbling characters. Those guys were the inspiration for. Those are the inspirations for R2D2 and 3PO.
Really?
Hidden Fortress was a huge inspiration for George Lucas. Do you remember the plot of the movie?
Which one? Hidden Fortress? I don't remember the plot now.
Save the princess.
No.
Save the princess from the Emperor. That's one of his major influences for Star Wars. Turned me into a character.
Now, just a bit off topic though. I literally heard a thing. a thing about George Lucas, and I don't know if this is true or not. I just heard it today on TikTok. You know, TikTok is not very relatable, but they
Yeah.
said supposedly the reason why George Lucas made a Star Wars film was because he couldn't get the rights to do a Flash Gordon film. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he was trying to
Oh,
kick
that's
around
true.
the idea. Yeah, he was trying to kick around the idea of doing Flash Gordon because he loved the 1930s serials that would play before the major movie back in the day. When you went to go see a movie, they would play these action serials. You could see Flash Gordon, Lone Ranger, Batman, Superman, and they would be like 10-minute skits. But they would always guess what they always started
What?
with? A crawl,
Oh, that's cool.
a verbal. Just like in Star Wars, they had started off with a crawl that would go up to the screen to tell you where Flash Gordon was. So when he couldn't get the rights to do Flash Gordon, he talked to Steven Spielberg, and then actually the Star Wars, which is why they did Indiana Jones, because that is their homage to the movie serial of the 1930s. Because that's the type
Oh,
of characters
wow.
they had back in the day was Indiana Jones or Alan Quartermain, or so it's just one thing fed off another. So yeah, once he couldn't get Flash Gordon, he started to write up his space opera Star Wars.
Wow.
So true story.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guess TikTok's not all lies.
No, I guess so. Sometimes it tells the truth. So it's like a broken
Yeah.
clock. It's only right twice a day, right? So sometimes it has to be the truth. But my number 10 is actually Spirited Away. Have you seen that one?
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that in so long. Of course, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I believe it's Ghibli Studios.
Yeah, they did a lot of those films, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Howling's Moving Castle. Oh God, now I'm gonna blank on all of them. Howling's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Steam Boy.
Steam Boy, I believe it is. Yeah.
Steam Boy. Yeah, they did a lot of them. But Spirited Away, I like the best because I'm someone I like. Me, I like metaphysical, surreal, fantasy stuff, and the dream world that she goes into, the underworld that she goes into in that movie, just captivates my imagination. I just love, and I also love the music. The score is absolutely beautiful and breathtaking.
Right.
Just so much about that movie, just like because it's either in between that or Death Note. Like those, those are going to be my two final ones. But I was just like, I got to give it to Spirited Away. That's just such a beautiful movie.
Now, I wonder, have that studio done any animes or just strictly movies?
Who?
Because I thought the same studio releases these movies, like the same art company, like releases them, like all those ones, or they're different.
Well, are you talking about distribution? Or are you talking about creating?
No, creating.
It depends. I mean, like I said, Ghibli Studios does the ones you're thinking of, like Howling Castle, Nausicaa, Spirited Away, Steam Boy, and all that stuff. But there's a few other companies out there that do other ones, smaller companies like that. I don't know them all by name, but
Gotcha.
Now,
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there one? That's what I meant. I might be wrong, but wasn't there one called Kiki's Delivery Service? Is that still?
Yeah. I think that's good
okay.
as well. I mean, when you
I remember that. That's the one I used to watch.
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, not to make a full circle, I'll probably cut this part out because people won't get it unless they watch it. But if you watch the opening of Hanukkah, it is extremely influenced by Ghibli Studios. Like the showing of the city with the sun coming over it and the push-ins and stuff like that.
Cool.
I'm very influenced by that.
I mean, they're all going to be influenced by something.
Oh yeah, they all influence off each other. All the way back, like we said in the first episode, all the way back to Astro Boy, and we've come full circle.
Yeah, there we go.
But any runner-ups you want to talk about?
Let me see. We talked about so many.
I know. The only runner-up I can think of is Cowboy Bebop, as far as anime.
That's a classic one. Yeah. A lot of people definitely like that one. They did not like the live action. I heard a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it, but I guess a lot of diehard fans didn't care for it. So yeah.
Yeah, Voltron was another one I
with
used to
some of the
like.
characters.
Yeah.
Did you ever see
Voltron.
the new Voltron where there's like a CGI kind of one? You never seen it? It's actually not too bad.
No, I haven't seen it yet. Not for lack of want to. I just, hadn't gotten around to it.
Well, I guess one I just thought of is JoJo Bizarre Adventure. I don't know if you heard of that one. That's also a very interesting story where each generation has a different concept. So the first one, it's like martial arts. The second one, they use like a special ability called Haman. And then from season 3 on, they use something called a stand, which is almost like think about like an imaginary friend you have, but they can fight
that's
for you.
cool.
And it's connected by, so the main characters are all called Joestar, like that's their nickname, but it's Jonathan Joestar, Joseph Joestar, Jotaro, so on and so forth. They all have a JoJo in their name, hence the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Gotcha.
And and then each one it's a really cool concept. I mean, students tell me all the time. There's one where it ended at season 6, and then they rewrote like they did almost like a multiverse like revamp of the series. Went back to the start, but had a new one. So instead of it being in England, it takes place in the Wild West.
Oh, wow.
So told after the 6th season, they're not a shonen anymore. They went to another studio, and now it's more. They do like more mature themes, which is actually what the original creator wanted to do the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's more gritty, more serious, more mature themes and stuff like that. But a cool concept, like I said.
I like shows that reinvent themselves. You know what I mean?
And every so often, and he likes to be very quirky. So a lot of the men, even though they're like very macho looking, they dress very effeminate and have like very, I guess you would say, like feminine pose, stuff like that. Because I guess the author wanted to show that, like, I guess he just wanted to have his own take on everything, to show that it doesn't matter what you look like, you still be badass or cool. I mean, some of them look super weird. So
I can only imagine. But well, that's cool. But I think to put a final line on it is that when it comes to anime, I think there's something out there for everybody. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything from horror to science fiction to fantasy to martial arts to culture to slice of life to period dramas. I mean, I can't think of a place anime hasn't gone yet.
Me neither.
If you thought of it, I'm sure there's a flavor for you in anime, right? There's got to be a saying. If not, we should make it a saying. Don't worry, if there's something you don't like, there's a flavor out there in anime for you.
That's what I tell everybody. I always say, like, I mean, do you go to a buffet and you eat one thing, or do you try the whole buffet? I mean, that's how you got to look at it.
Exactly. You got to try everything different, True story.
I mean, I guess the thing I can say is that hopefully that, as the years goes on, I hope there's less separation, because again, even within the own anime community, there's all this hate for each other. And I just hope that one day, which, that may never happen, but hopefully one day it'll just be like, instead of my favorite anime is better than yours, you're like, what anime do you like? Me too. Let's open our mind and like all kinds of anime, or just acknowledge that, hey, we both like anime, and that's the cool part about it. And I think everyone would be a lot happier.
Well, I think we're seeing a little of that future now, because surely there's some animes I probably mentioned that you're like, I have no interest, and there's some that you've mentioned I have no interest, but I respect why you like it, even if it's not something I'm into. It's like, I can see why this kid likes it. That makes fun, and that's the point of this show, though, isn't it? To kind of make fandom like just like what we like, and it's okay if I don't like your stuff. At least we can appreciate each other for it. It doesn't make one better than the other.
Yep,
it's what we strive for. Anyways, on that note, I think I will say
that's it. Always gotta unite.
That's right. I'll say thank you, Vinny.
No worries.
This two-parter has been fun. If we could dream up another reason to go through anime, I'm sure we'll, next season, I'm sure we'll come up with something, maybe movies or something, or actual manga.
Yeah.
We'll figure out something.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you again, Vinny.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
I really hope you enjoyed the panel. And remember, there's only one episode left to this season of Nerds and Geeks. Our last and final episode of this season will be a review of 2023 and the highs and lows for geek and nerd culture. And please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. Also, don't forget to visit my online store with lots of cool swag with artwork by yours truly. And remember, until then, stay cool.